Okay, so today we're going to dig into something pretty significant, I think. It's this recent resignation. We're talking about Professor Pauline Shanks Kaurin, a military ethics professor stepping down from the Naval War College. And our mission here really is to unpack the layers behind this. What does it tell us about academic freedom, especially, in fields like military ethics?
What's really striking here is Professor Karin's background. I mean, she's a prominent figure, and she's leaving after 7 years at the Naval War College. But it's how she got there that's key. She actually left a tenured university job, moved her whole family for this specific role. And she says it was based on this promise, this understanding of having, quote, academic freedom to do her job. So this isn't just like moving on to another job, is it? That level of commitment, it makes the resignation feel heavier.
Oh, absolutely. It tells you a lot. And you have to consider the place itself, the Naval War College. It's not your average university. We're talking about a top-tier graduate-level institution. Think Army War College, Air War College, that same league. They award master's degrees in national security to, senior U.S. military personnel. These places are shaping how future leaders think strategically and ethically. So when someone focused on ethics walks away like this, yeah, the ripples go way beyond just the college itself.
Right. And let's get into the why. She's been quite clear about it. Kaurin stated that orders from President Trump and Defense Secretary Hegseth made staying. Her words were morally and practically untenable. That's a really strong statement. Morally and practically untenable. What does that actually mean in this kind of setting? What sort of policies could make an ethics professor's job impossible?
Well, it seems her concern goes beyond just, say, disagreeing with a policy point. It's deeper. It sounds like it's about the ability to even conduct ethical inquiry openly. Military ethics involves tough debates, use of force, rules of engagement, detainee treatment, really sensitive stuff. If the kind of teaching and research she was hired for, the kind that needs to question assumptions, even prevailing policy, if that becomes impossible without perhaps fear of consequences. Well, and the role changes fundamentally. You risk shifting from a critical thinker or someone fostering that to maybe just someone who toes the line. And that really hits at the core of what academic freedom is supposed to do in practice, especially when government directives are involved, particularly in a place training military leaders.
The tension is really clear. But, from the military side, there's always this huge emphasis on chain of command, on loyalty. So how do those two things, this need for academic freedom and the reality of military obedience, how do they usually coexist? Or maybe where do they clash inside an institution like this?
Yeah, that's the fundamental challenge, isn't it? Ideally, academic freedom provides that space for critical thinking. The kind leaders need for those complex, ethical gray areas where just following orders isn't enough. But yes, the military structure is hierarchical. It relies on obedience. What Karin's resignation suggests, I think, is that for her, that balance tipped too far. It implies she felt a constraint on her ability to really analyze, to teach critically about ethics, especially if that analysis bumps up against current directives, which is, ironically, exactly what that kind of ethics role is meant to encourage.
And adding another layer of significance here, she wasn't just any professor. She held the James B. Stockdale Chair in Professional Military Ethics since 2018.
Right. And the Stockdale Chair. That's not just a title. It carries enormous weight, historically, morally. It's named for Admiral James Stockdale, Medal of Honor recipient, famously a POW in Vietnam for over 7 years. He literally used philosophy, ethical frameworks to endure torture, to maintain his integrity and lead others. I mean, that's the kind of profound moral strength and reasoning this chair symbolizes. So for the person holding that specific chair to resign over ethical concerns about academic freedom, it sends a really powerful message, almost symbolic, you could say.
So thinking about this, what does it mean for you listening? This whole situation really throws a spotlight on a critical tension, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can you have true academic freedom when the institution trains leaders for the military, an organization built on command? Maybe the insight here is that ethical independence isn't just nice to have. It might be more vital in fields touching national security. Yet that's exactly where it feels the most pressure.
Yeah, I think the resignation really challenges us. It makes us
Yeah.
think hard about those boundaries. Where does institutional loyalty end and individual conscience begin? And it forces us to ask, what's the real purpose of education within these powerful institutions that shape future leaders? Are we aiming to cultivate genuinely independent ethical thinking? Or are we maybe implicitly just preparing people to implement policy, whatever it might be? That's something to really consider.